Today, I'm going to take a look at these two wonderful machines and give you a bit of a comparison. We're looking at the Rocket R91 and the Marzocco GS3. Now, if you're in the market for one of these machines, I'm going to try and answer some of the questions that you may have. Things like the heritage of the machines, how they actually work, the user interface, and the specifications, so that you can work out which one of these machines may suit you best. The GS3 is my machine. Now, I've had this for about 2 years and really enjoyed making coffee on it. So we've got quite a few videos already on pressure profiling, the specs, and how this machine works, and a bit more of the detail. So go and check that video out for a bit more in-depth information. And the R91 from Rocket has been given to us kindly from Espresso Company Australia. So thanks heaps, guys. And we've been able to produce a couple other videos around this machine. So again, we do an unboxing and a bit of a how to use the interface and a bit more in it. So jump on and check out that video for the specifics of this machine. But the biggest thing that we want to cover is if you're in the market for a machine over the $10,000 mark, these are two of the options that you'd be considering. And people sort of, play them against each other. And really, I think what you need to start to think about is what do you use the machine for? What do you want to get out of it? And really, should you be paying for some of the features that each of the machines have? Because there are some differences. And I think some people aim for the most expensive machine, but may not actually use the features of the actual machine, or it could become quite complex and then you won't actually enjoy coffee. So hopefully by the end of the video, you'll have a better idea which one of these may suit your coffee habits that you have at home. So just to be clear, we've been loaned the Rocket R91 to have a play with, do a bit of an assessment and put a bit of content up. We don't get paid for it, and that machine will be heading back to them. So trying to keep it a little bit non-biased and open to conversation about these two machines. So if you're looking at high-end machines, you'll be aware that a lot of machines come out of Italy. And look, that's where the heritage of beautiful coffee machines come from. The Marzocco is made in Florence and the Rockets come out of Milan. So you can see perhaps some styling of these two companies that have been around for a while, and they've definitely got distinct different looks, with your big exposed head here on your Marzocco and a short sort of stature, where the Rocket is really sticking with its traditional kind of square feel, but really nice, sharp, clean lines. So the two of those aesthetics, you've got to decide which one suits you best in your kitchen, and the look and the feel. So that's a personal choice. I'll leave that one up to you. As far as the technical numbers go, there are a few differences between the two. We've both got dual boiler machines with saturated group heads. They're both plumbable or tank water. We've got a 3.5 litre tank on the Marzocco. You've got a 3 litre tank on the Rocket. You've got cool touch steam wands, your hot water activations, your big drip trays. And so a lot of those things are quite similar. When you start to look at the numbers, a few things do start to stand out. So in the Marzocco, we've got the double boilers. You've got 3.5 litres steam boiler and a 3 litre brew boiler. So they're a little bit larger than the Rocket, and to power that up, it's 2100 watts. So that is a little bit higher than the 1600 watts that's in the Rocket. Now the Rocket's got a 1.9 litre steam boiler and a 1.5 litre brew boiler. So they're a little bit smaller, but that's not going to have any real effect for you as the home user. If you said you were going to look at these machines and pump out higher volume, the Marzocco would have more capacity because of those large boilers to handle that flow through of water and the volume. So we're talking cafe sort of volume here, not pumping out a heap of coffees for your friends. Both of these machines are going to absolutely smash that if you've got a bit of a party at home and 10 or more people. So I wouldn't really be putting that into perspective if it's for the home market. Now I mentioned that they're both plumbable. That's where the machines differ greatly. So in the Marzocco, you've got a rotary pump. I think it's the Procon pump, which is used in all commercial coffee machines. Whereas in the Rocket, you've got an electric gear pump. And that's where the water source and the 9 bar of pressure, or the variable pressure, can really show some distinct differences between these two models. So I'm going to come back and dive into that a little bit further when we start to get into the front heads. One of the biggest factors that I want you to understand about these two machines, and to be fair to them, is to understand when they were made. The GS3 has been around since 2008, so it's had quite a few iterations, and the 3 is obviously the 3rd generation. The G and the S stands for Gruppo Saturo. Now, I apologise for the pronunciation, but it means saturated group. So that's where the heritage of this machine has come from, and in 2016 they redesigned and rebuilt this whole internal piston system to update it. When we look at the rocket, it was in 2018 that this was built. So to be fair, they've had the chance to look at what everyone else has done before they've gone into pressure profiling and look at how maybe to improve it. And that's certainly the way the rocket is featured. It's more a digital approach and a new technology into pressure profiling and stability controls, where the GS3 has been around for quite some time and still stands the test of time as a market leader. So if you're looking at reliability and asking a couple of those questions, we've got a machine here that's been around for more than 15 years, quick maths there, and it's still parts available, it's reliable, it's durable. And if you look at the rocket machine, it's only a couple of years old, but its heritage, we've got machines that still come in back for like 2005, we can still get parts, rebuild them. So I don't think there's a difference between quality or durability. These machines are going to last you quite a long time, and you'll still be able to service them. And if you are still worried, you've got 24 months warranty on these as a home user, where a lot of the lower end machines only have 12 months. So that's a great confidence that they're going to make sure that you've got that support for a bit longer. Now, before I mentioned what the GS3 means, the R91, well, to be honest, I can't get a straight answer of what it means. At a quick guess, I'd say rocket. The 9 would be something about maybe variable pressure of 9, and the 1 would be a 1 group option. Now, if you've got the answer, hey, I'd love to know. Pop it in the comments below. If we still can't find it, give us your options. Tell us what you think it could be. So now when we come around to the business end of both of these machines, there are really distinct differences. So the first thing is how they actually work and deliver their variable pressure, and the other one is the user interface. So I'll try and answer both of those as easy as I can. When we look at the water and the temperature stability, we've got those saturated groups in both the machines. They're both digitally controlled PIDs, so that means you can change the water temperatures in the head or the steam boiler on both of them from a digital perspective. With the updates in the GS3, you can now use their Marzocco Home app, and that's where you can play with all of those numbers very easily. You can do it from the front interface. It's a little bit trickier as well, but that interface allows you to have future-proof. Who knows what they're going to put into that app in the future, but at least you've got that IoT connectivity to be able to play with those things. The interface with the rocket is all done through its display on the front. So it doesn't have internet capabilities, but it's got a nice big display screen, full color, which allows you to navigate through quite simply just by using the touch screen. Now, if you're like me and you're hitting that over 40 mark and your eyesight's starting to go, you do have a smaller screen on your Marzocco here, which tells you the temperature, the time, and it turns into the shot timer. So it's on this right-hand side. You've got 2 gauges doing your pressure. This one is obviously your pump pressure, then you've got your bypass pressure valve on the top, which allows you to see what's happening, and then you've got your steam. In your rocket over here, they're much bigger gauges, a little bit easier to see, and then you've got a nice big digital display there, which is going to bring up the shot timer. So probably from a visual aspect, everything's on one side, a little bit easier to see, where these two, they're sort of on both sides. So that might be a little bit of a positive or a negative to you, but just thought I'd point those out. So how do both of these machines work? Well, they do get compared as pressure profiling machines. And as I said before, I've gone deep into both of these and explained it if you want to see how to actually use them or best navigate those. So check those videos out. But there are distinct differences in how that pressure is provided to your coffee puck. So if we look at the GS3 first, we've got a rotary pump which is set to 9 bar pressure. The minute that you activate that head, it's going to kick in the pump and you can hear that running. So we're straight up to 9 bar of pressure on the pump. We now have the ability to vary how much of that 9 bar actually gets put onto the coffee puck from a variable valve. So as you slide this along, you are basically opening up a needle style valve, let's call it, and the higher that valve opens, the more pressure that's going to come through. So we're now starting to come along from right to left. We've got a little dribble coming out, and as you keep going, you'll start to ramp that right up to full 9 bar pressure. And as you go back, you'll be reducing it to nothing. Okay, so you've got full manual control. Now, as I said, the pump is always providing 9 bar of pressure, and the excess has to then come down into the drip tray. So it does have a very large drip tray for you to be able to catch all that excess water. So if you do get this machine, just keep an eye on your drip tray. If you're using it quite a fair bit, you are filling it up, but just be mindful of that. So that's a more manual, I guess, again, it was built in 2008, so it's an older style machine, and that's what was the technology. So great constant pressure from the rotary pump and the ability to vary that manually. So if I was going to try and repeat that, it's up to me to make sure that I'm moving that valve by the gauge and the right time for me to get maybe 3 bar of a pre-infusion for the first 5 seconds. Then I'd move that valve again to maybe up to 6 bar of pressure for the next 10 seconds of my shot. And then I might, ramp it up to 9 or then finish slow. But to repeat that, I have to be accurate every single time. So I would call this more of an artisan style approach towards making coffee. It's definitely interactive, it's definitely fun to play with and use. If you don't want to do that, you can simply flick it all the way across and you've got that straight up 9 bar pressure onto your coffee and you don't have to worry about it. So the R91, as I said, is a bit different from the pump perspective. Now, we've gained about 15 years and technology has definitely improved. And what's been put in here is an electronic style gear pump. Now, it basically increases or decreases its pressure by how much power is applied to that pump. So with the rotary pump, you've got full 9 bar pressure, and then we're bypassing, where in the R91, it's ramping up or reducing depending on that power supply. And it's very repeatable and precise. So as we change this, the lever, again, I got caught in my other videos, it goes the opposite way. So as we start to move this along, the pump is on. You can actually hear the pump working a little bit. And it starts to change, and you can hear those sounds as you start to increase. And you can go all the way across to the right, giving you up to 9, coming back to maybe 3 or 6, or to nothing. Now, that is a much more precise and repeatable process. So if you're the kind of person that wants to have that manual feel, you can do it. But if you want to be able to repeat that time and time again, as you're sliding that valve around, on the display here, there is a graph, and it's starting to show you the 3 bar, the 6, the 9 bar pressure for the whole time that you've done that extraction. Now, you can simply go and save that, and then you can repeat it. It's very easy to do. There are 5 options where you can have preset settings that are in there, or you can go and adjust those as well. So if you went through and picked A, B, C, D, or E of those preferences, and you just simply went all the way to the right, it will run that profile. It will start low on a low pressure for the first 5 or 10 seconds that you've got. You can hear that's now ramping up, it's following the recipe, and it will just run through that whole extraction until it's finished, and then you'll have to turn it off. So it just allows that repeatability, consistency, and also the ability to go back into that recipe and super fine tune that pressure. So you could pick at 5 seconds, you may have done a manual brew and done 3.1 or 3.2 of pressure. You could go back and nail that recipe right back to that proper 3 bar for the first 5 seconds. So it really comes down to that digital interface, which is the distinct difference with the GS3 and the repeatability. So if you're a bit more technically minded and you want to be a bit geeky, that would probably be something that you'd enjoy. If you want to be a bit more manual and artisan, that's where probably the GS3 is going to suit you best as well. So I hope that information has allowed you to understand a little bit more about the inner workings and the differences between the R91 and the GS3, and whether that's going to suit you, again, as I said at the start, how you make coffee, how you use it. Are you going to use this digital technology from the R91, or are you really happy to be a bit more artisan approach in the GS3? Now, again, there's 2 other videos here for all, what comes with them. Watch them individually, and the parts, the accessories, a whole lot, and you'll get that information to help make the decision of which one of these would suit you best in your house. I'd love to know in the comments below, what kind of machine have you been thinking about? Is it the R91? Is it the GS3? Do you like the look, the touch, the feel? What is it that you're already thinking about on these 2 models that would suit you best? And if you've got any questions about them, hey, please leave one down below. I'll happily answer those for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that's given you a great insight to these 2 wonderful machines that will be perfect in anyone's home. I don't think one or the other is really better. They're just slightly different in their approach to making beautiful home espresso. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. We'll catch you next time. Cheers.